Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So, welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room. So, of course, I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you will always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. So, this is the weekly Astro forecast for the week of June 10th through June 16th, 2024. All right. So, hello, Linda. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Now, it's interesting that you say exciting astro info. I'm not necessarily sure I would call it exciting, but it is dynamic nonetheless. All right. So, this is a week. I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. Okay. So, I'm just going to give it to you straight up, no chaser. This is going to be a week that may be a little challenging, and you may already be feeling the energy. Hello, Monarcha. You may already be feeling the energy so far. Okay, this is going to be a week that may test you, is going to try you, it'll likely irritate you, and it may even, I don't want to say frighten you, but it may take you to some places that you may not have anticipated going. All right. Now, I'm not one of those love and light spiritualists. Everything is not roses and rainbows all the time. We are human, number one. We live on earth, number two. And so sometimes things are difficult. Sometimes things are challenging. And this is one of those weeks where it may feel like that. All right. So yeah. I don't want to say brace yourselves because it's not necessarily anything surprising. I just feel like it's gonna be one of those weeks where things feel arduous, things feel slow, stagnant, irritating, all of that kind of stuff. All right. And a lot of emotions may be coming up. The way that the astrology is configured this week, your fears, your insecurities, all of that stuff that we try to avoid, we may not be able to avoid this week. And while it may not feel good in the moment, it's actually very beneficial, especially given the time that we're in right now. All right. So, before we get into all of those juicy details, of course, announcements and housekeeping. So, if you are joining me here on the live this evening, thank you so much for tuning in. Some of you guys may be from Facebook because I am simultaneously broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. I haven't broadcasted from Facebook probably in almost 2 years, right? But I'm going to bring it back. So if you're here from Facebook, hit up the chat, say hello, get to know everybody. It's a great little community here. Okay. And so if you're joining me live tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Again, say hi on your way in and hit that like button. It helps the channel. It lets the algorithm know that you like this content, and it'll at least disseminate it to other people who may like the content as well. All right. And if you're joining on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. And I sincerely hope that you get what you're looking for in this broadcast. And if you do, definitely hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell if you have not already. All right. So if you are someone who wants your horoscope, but you don't know where to look, or perhaps what you're seeing online just doesn't resonate, then you'll want to consider subscribing to my text service where you will get your weekly horoscope texted to you every Monday. All right. Short, sweet, to the point. People seem to really like it, and it typically resonates. All right. So if you're interested, you will want to text the word ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. That information will be in the description box below in case you missed it. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is brand spanking new to astrology and you have no idea what's going on, or maybe you're not so brand new to astrology, but you find it difficult to retain all of the information, because trust and believe, astrology can be overwhelming. Don't worry, I got you covered. I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which essentially gives you a breakdown of the 4 basic pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a short summary on all of these things so that you can start committing them to memory, because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is indeed a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. If you are interested, the link will be in the description box below. All you have to do is drop your email address and you will be good to go. All right. Next, you'll want to consider becoming a roommate, which essentially is joining our channel membership. So, not only do you get access to exclusive member content, you get early access to videos, plus you get a discount on all of my products and services forever. All right. It's a great way to get more content, plus also a great way to support the channel. All right. And if you are interested, the link will be in the description box below as well. All right. So, I believe that's it by way of announcements. So let's get into the week. All right. So, like I said, this is going to be a week that is pretty challenging in terms of the astrological energy. Expect to feel intense and expect to experience perhaps intensity in certain situations. Expect a little bit of frustration, maybe even some confrontations that arise out of that frustration. Opportunities for healing. So, whenever we've got opportunities for healing, you know that we're talking about things coming back up. We're talking about deeply seated emotions. We're talking about wounds, insecurities, all of that stuff. All right. Now, while it will be a challenging week, we also have a very positive transit this week, which may, I'm not going to say it's going to compensate for the heaviness of the week, but it is going to add a little bit of brightness to your week. All right. And so we have that to look forward to. But other than that, it's really time to put on your big girl pants, your big boy pants, and strap up, because it's gonna be a time this week. All right. So let's get into the highlights and see exactly what we've got going on. So, first, we have what I like to call Heal Thyself, and this is Chiron transits. So, we've got two Chiron transits this week, and these transits are going to give opportunities for healing. So, first, we've got Venus sextile Chiron, which has everything to do with relationships and money. And then we've got Sun sextile Chiron and Mercury sextile Chiron. So there's going to be this ability to heal the way we express ourselves, perhaps heal the narrative that we tell ourselves, and also heal ourselves in order to strengthen our identity, in order to become aware of who we truly are. Okay. So again, healing opportunities don't necessarily feel good, but they are good inherently. All right. Then we have what I like to call mental refresh. And this is going to be the positive transit of the week that you're going to want to watch for. And this is Mercury conjunct the sun. All right. This is also known as a Mercury Cazimi. So it brings good news. It brings brilliant ideas, brilliant new ideas. It also brings a mental refresh, which I don't know about you, but I could definitely use at this point in time. And I will definitely go into all the details of that in a little bit. And then finally, we have what I like to call illusions and delusions. And this is Venus square Neptune. All right. So this is going to be not necessarily seeing things clearly, being a little insecure, lack of discipline. It's kind of it adds to the intensity of an already intense week. And it's going to make the best way to describe it is that it's sort of like looking in a funhouse mirror. Okay. But again, I will explain all of that in a little bit. So let's get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. All right. So tomorrow we start off with Venus sextile Chiron. And then we've got Mars square Pluto, which is a pretty big deal. So I'll be talking about that at length. Then on Wednesday, we've got Mercury square Saturn and the moon moving into Virgo. On Thursday, we've got those two out of the three Chiron transits for the week. We've got the Sun sextile Chiron, Mercury sextile Chiron. Then on Friday will be perhaps the best day of the week. We have the Sun conjunct Mercury and the moon moving into Libra, which should add a little bit of freshness and levity to the week. Then we close out the week on Sunday with Venus square Neptune, which not the best, but also not the worst. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so we kick things off with Venus sextile Chiron and Mars square Pluto. So at the upper left-hand corner, you will see Venus, the little blue guy at 22 degrees of Gemini, and that will be sextile to Chiron, which is in the middle of the three red circles. At the top of the chart, you'll see Chiron at 22 degrees of Aries. And then you will see Mars also at the top of the chart at 1 degree of Taurus. And Pluto, all the way at the right-hand portion of the chart, is at 1 degree of Aquarius. So first up, let us talk about Venus sextile Chiron. Now, whenever you have a sextile in astrology, it denotes opportunity. Now, sextiles are generally a positive aspect, right? So it's more so about positive opportunities presenting themselves. Typically, sextiles can help us grow and develop skills that we may not necessarily have. Now, when we talk about Venus sextile Chiron, we're talking about opportunities for healing when it comes to relationships. Like I said before, opportunities for healing typically means that certain things are going to be coming up, certain emotions are going to be coming up, certain situations may be coming back around in order to show you something new, right? Or to sort of clean up any sort of emotional residue that is left. And so when we have something like Venus sextile Chiron and Venus currently in Gemini, the stories that we tell ourselves about relationships are going to be up for review. And it's really going to be up to you in order to change that narrative, okay? Maybe you are someone who was cheated on in the past. And the story that you tell yourself is that, okay, even if the person I'm currently with isn't cheating on me, they're probably going to cheat on me at some point in time. It's like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, okay? And so Venus sextile Chiron with Venus currently being in Gemini is like, no, recognizing that you can change the narrative of whatever situation you're in right now. You can change the narrative of a situation you have yet to be in. And if you didn't know this, you can change the narrative of a situation that has already happened. Memories are not set in stone. And I'm going to go off on a little tangent right now. Memories are not set in stone. And the more you change the narrative with respect to a past situation, the more that you can actually change how that past situation is perceived in your mind and in other people's minds, okay? That's actually a subject matter for a separate video. However, the point I'm trying to make is that you could always change the story. It's never too late to change the story, okay? Now, here's the thing. Jupiter is currently in Gemini also, so it is putting a serious battery in your back right now. So you may be thinking a lot of different things. You may be telling yourself a lot of different narratives when it comes to relationships, when it comes to money also, because Venus rules money, right? So maybe you are vacillating between a lack mentality and an abundant mindset, or maybe maybe you're hearing voices from your family members who talk about how money is the root of all evil and other sort of low vibrational things, low vibrational stories when it comes to money. Now, Venus sextile Chiron gives you the opportunity to change those narratives, but it gives you the opportunity, but you have to be proactive. It's not something that's just going to automatically happen. You got to put in some work in order to change that narrative. And with Venus, again, being in Gemini, this is affirmations, scripting, journaling, subliminals, whatever it is, whatever you need to do to change that story, change that story. You have the opportunity now. And like I said before, when it comes to Chiron, it comes to our insecurities, when we have opportunities for healing, again, it brings up emotions. Don't deny those emotions. Honor how you feel. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to ruminate on how you feel. Don't allow your monkey mind to go down the rabbit hole with a whole bunch of what ifs and bullshit, okay? It's really up to you to recognize where you're at so that you can heal and get to where you want to be. And Venus sextile Chiron is going to allow you to do just that. Next, we've got Mars square Pluto, and this is the culprit when it comes to the intensity that we are feeling this week. Okay, so Mars just entered Taurus yesterday, and you may have viscerally felt this energy shift. So before Mars went into Taurus, it was in its home sign of Aries. And Mars in Aries is like a firecracker. It's just like doing the most, very active, very fiery, very initiating energy. And then as soon as Mars goes into Taurus, it slows everything down. Slows everything down. And so the motivation you may have felt while Mars was in Aries, you're going to have to work to keep that same level of motivation. Your passion for whatever it is you desire, for whatever goal you want to achieve, it's going to take some work to keep up that passion, to keep up that motivation, because Mars is not comfortable in Taurus at all. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. Mars likes to move. Mars likes to create. Mars likes to start things. And Taurus is all about work, steady work, slow work. All right. So if you feel like you've been dragging your ass, I know I have. If you feel like things have slowed down a bit, that's definitely Mars in Taurus at play, okay? It's just to let you know that to keep that fire going, you're going to have to keep adding firewood, right? You're going to have to keep working at things, okay? Now, Mars is square to Pluto, and this we're going to feel the effects and the energy of this transit heavily this week, all right? Mars square Pluto is bringing intensity. It's bringing substance and depth to things that we may not want to face. It may be bringing up repressed emotions. It may have you needing to address your shadow side. It may have you questioning your motives and your intention for things. It could also just have you really stuck and obsessed on something, okay? So I guess one of the easiest ways to think about Mars square Pluto is that it's allowing us to transform ourselves, okay? Pluto in Aquarius is currently retrograde. So we are examining ourselves. We're examining our shadow selves. We're doing shadow work, right? We're opening the closet and we're seeing what hasn't seen the light of day, right? Provided that you're cognizant of doing the work, that's what we're doing. But then Mars in Taurus, it's like this energy of being stuck, or this energy of being stagnant, or this energy of slowing down. Whereas Pluto in Aquarius wants to move us into the future, like transform our realities. Mars in Taurus is like, I don't quite know how. Or I feel like I want to do this, but it's just not happening right now. Or it's slowing down, right? It's almost like when you have your car like stuck in the mud or stuck in ice or something like that, and it just can't, it's like the wheels are turning, you're revving up the engine, you've got your foot all the way down on the gas pedal, but you're not going anywhere. That's kind of the stuck energy that I'm talking about. One of the images that came to me when I was, preparing for this was, how when you're a kid and you know how children love running, they love running everywhere and anywhere, right? And remember when it was time for recess, especially if it was a beautiful day outside, or especially if you had plans with friends to do something in particular at recess, what did you do? As soon as it was time for recess, you ran outside. But then what happened? The teacher would say, slow down, stop running. That is how Mars square Pluto feels like. You want to fire on all cylinders, but the cosmos are slowing you down a little bit. They're slowing you down because the way that Mars operates is that Mars isn't doing any substantive thinking, any shadow work. Mars is like, listen, I want to be a millionaire. I'm doing everything. I'm doing the most right now to be a millionaire. That's it. Almost to the point of obsession. But Pluto in Aquarius is like, hold up. You want to be a millionaire, but you have a lack mentality. You don't manage your money well. You're in a lot of debt. Like Pluto, it'll definitely be a Debbie Downer, right? But it'll show you what's standing in the way of that desire that you are so quick to want to have right now. And everything is slowing you down right now, which can account for frustration. And frustration can lead to people acting out, lashing out, You know how you feel when you're frustrated and then someone gets on your nerves, especially if you're frustrated about something that you're trying to do and then someone has something to say about it, or they throw a monkey wrench in your plans. Again, you want to run outside for recess, but the teacher is slowing you down and saying, no, walk, don't run. And it frustrates you, right? Exactly. Expect a lot of those kind of feelings this week. The other thing I will say about Mars and Taurus, specifically as it relates to Pluto in Aquarius right now, is that again, Pluto in Aquarius wants to take you into the future. Pluto in Aquarius wants to improve your life, change your life in a very profound and permanent way. Taurus is a very fixed sign. Taurus isn't starting anything or ending anything. Taurus is staying put. That's sort of the opposite of transformation. So Taurus is static, it's stable. Then you put a planet like Mars in Taurus, it heats things up. It allows you to have a little more willpower, a little more gumption, a little more I want to say proactiveness. I don't think that's a word though. But it gets you to be a little more amped, a little more motivated when it comes to making those changes. But it's going to require you to go out of your comfort zone. Okay. So it gives you willpower and it energizes an area of life that may be sort of stagnant or where you've gotten too comfortable. Okay. The last thing I'll say about this transit is that issues of power and control are definitely going to come up. Now, whether this is an internal thing, like your own personal power and allowing yourself to be empowered in what you're working toward or what you're trying to have, be, or do. Or if this plays out in a dynamic, like in a relationship of some sort, where someone has more power over the other or control or whatever. It's important that you recognize where you feel like you're being victimized or where you're victimizing others. It's also important to recognize where you may feel like you want to take underhanded tactics to get what you want. This particular transit may bring out a very ugly side of people. People who are willing to do anything for what they want. They're willing to step on anybody's head to get ahead. These things are going to come into play depending on how your life is set up, essentially. Okay. But it's important to understand that Mars has a lot to do with our basic human instincts, our animal instincts. Okay. So, when I was preparing for this, I was thinking about how, especially if you're on your spiritual journey, especially if you are, doing all the things to better yourself, that takes work. That takes effort. Some days it comes naturally to think positively and to remember that you're the conscious creator of your reality. Other days it's really hard. Other days you don't want to be positive. Other days you don't want to do the work. There are going to be times where you don't want to take the high road. Maybe you do want to cut corners. Maybe you do want to cheat to get ahead, right? These are all basic human things. So there's no shame and no judgment in any of that. You just need to recognize when you feel or think those things because it's going to give you a lot of information about yourself, okay? So like I said, this is the transit that's going to be the most challenging this week. But again, it's going to show you a lot. And most importantly, it can energize a stagnant area in your life. So use it for that. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so then we move to Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we've got Mercury square Saturn and we've got the moon in Virgo. So at the upper left-hand portion of the chart, you will see Mercury at 19 degrees of Gemini. And then at the upper right-hand portion of the chart, you will see Saturn at 19 degrees of Pisces. And then at the bottom left-hand portion of the chart, you will see the moon at 0 degrees or 3 degrees rather of Virgo. All right, so Mercury square Saturn. Now, Mercury is currently in its home sign of Gemini. Gemini is on and popping right now because there are quite a few planets there, including Jupiter. So I don't know about you, but lately my mind has been I don't want to call it a circus, but there's just been a lot going on, a lot of mental activity, a lot of just lots and lots and lots of things going on mentally, right? And Mercury square Saturn, it kind of has the feeling of Mercury in Gemini is like your monkey mind. There's a lot of thoughts going on, a lot of busyness, a lot of distractions, right? Whereas Saturn, that's currently in Pisces, is all about holding the vision, doing the work that you need to make your dreams a reality. So basically, if I had to sum this transit up in a short sentence or phrase, it would be your monkey mind versus where, like, your dream. It's like you got to keep your eye on the prize while your mind is doing mental acrobatics, right? And the chatter that's going on in your mind can be a myriad of things. It could be what you want the situation to be. It could be your old story. It could be the voices of other people. It could be the distractions that you see on social media and all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's really important that you kind of just allow the energy of this transit to pass. Okay. Sometimes doing less is more. Okay. And with Mercury currently in Gemini and with Jupiter adding a battery to your back, well, to your mental back when it comes to your thoughts, realize that a lot of things that go on in your mind are just passing thoughts. You don't have to give them attention. You don't have to put emotion or energy behind them. You can literally just watch them pass as if you're watching the clouds pass by in the sky. Okay. It's going to be hard to grab on to certain thoughts, certain ideas, because again, it's like your monkey mind is going crazy. So essentially keep your eye on the prize and try not to let distractions get the better of you. All right. What I found over the last couple of days, because I've been feeling the effects of this transit, I want to say since like Friday, keep a pen and notebook handy because you may have some gems, some $1,000,000 ideas in the circus that's going on in your mind right now. So make sure that you are recording, you're writing down, you're memorializing anything that you want to remember, because I guarantee you will probably forget it. Because again, you've got all of these passing thoughts. All right. So definitely keep that in mind. Then we've got the moon in Virgo. Virgo likes to make order out of chaos. Virgo likes to compartmentalize things. It's like getting efficient and getting organized. And with Virgo being ruled by Mercury and Mercury currently in its home sign of Gemini, trying to make sense and order of all of these thoughts can be quite challenging. Even though you're going to feel like doing that, even though you're going to want to make sense of everything that you're thinking, everything that you're learning, everything that you're seeing and ingesting mentally, again, I feel like the best advice, especially by midweek, just let your thoughts pass and try not to, again, give in to distractions, okay? Because I feel like a lot of people are probably beginning to feel mental burnout, mental exhaustion, okay? So take it easy. And I feel like with the moon in Virgo, the best distraction is going to be like cleaning. Rather than trying to make sense of your mind, try to organize and make sense of your space. Especially if you've got a cluttered space right now, I can almost guarantee that your mind is overly cluttered. Okay. So clean up, get organized. And if you do feel like you need a distraction, try to engage in a healthy distraction. Because again, we have to watch what we're being told, what we're listening to, all of that good stuff. All right. So keep a clean mental diet at this time. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right. So on Thursday, we've got 2 Chiron transits. All right. So at the upper left-hand portion of the chart, the upper red circle, you will see Chiron. The green key is at 22 degrees of Aries. And then in the left-hand portion of the chart in the red circle, you'll see both the sun and Mercury. Mercury is at 21 degrees of Gemini. The sun is at 22 degrees of Gemini. All right. And both the sun and Mercury are both going to sextile to Chiron. All right. So this particular transit sort of has the same flavor of Venus sextile Chiron that I spoke about earlier. Chiron, opportunities for healing. When we talked about Venus sextile Chiron, we were talking about relationships and money and how we had opportunities to heal issues related to that, or more so, the narratives that we tell ourselves related to relationships and money, right? So now when it comes to the Sun and Mercury sextile Chiron, it's really going to be about how we see ourselves, the narratives we tell ourselves, and our general beliefs, whether it's beliefs about ourselves, others, or the world. This helps us get our minds in order, or pretty much gets us to tell the stories that we want to hear, okay? The narratives that we want to tell ourselves, we have the ability to do that with these two transits. Now, keep in mind, especially with the Sun sextile Chiron, your old story, your old narrative, the story that you no longer want to adhere to is going to become plain as day. All right. So let's say that when it comes to something like friendship, you have a belief that people are just friends with you because they want to use you or they want to get something out of you. Guess what? If that's something that you believe, if that's a story you've been telling yourself, you will literally see that plain as day. And that's to get you to realize that, yes, it is true. People only want to be friends with you because of what you have to offer. Now, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Okay. Mercury sextile Chiron has a lot to do with how we express ourselves. So when it comes to insecurities, like maybe it's an insecurity about public speaking, maybe you feel like you can never fully express yourself or be vulnerable or express your opinions for whatever reason. Those are also going to become clear as day so that you can heal them as well, okay? And when all is said and done, despite the fact that this is going to be a challenging week where we've got emotions, insecurities, intensity, all that kind of stuff, you have the opportunity to really create a change in your mind at this time. Everything is mental, particularly this week. So if you find yourself thinking thoughts that you don't want to think, thinking thoughts that don't serve you, this is the week to take action in order to change that. All right. You have the opportunity to do it with relationships and money. You have the opportunity to do it with your identity and your personality. And you also have the opportunity to do it with how you express yourself. So take the opportunity and do the work. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right, so then on Friday, the most positive day of the week, we've got the Sun conjunct Mercury, aka Mercury Cazimi, and the Moon moving into Libra. So the top hand portion of the chart, you will see both the Sun and Mercury are at 24 degrees of Gemini. And then at the left-hand portion of the chart, you will see the Moon is at 0 degrees of Libra. All right, so this is the most positive day of the week, because Mercury conjunct the Sun, aka Mercury Cazimi, is a positive astrological transit. Now, whenever a planet is at the sweet spot next to the Sun, right? Because think about the energy of the Sun. If you get too close, you're going to disintegrate, right? Because you're going to burn. Same thing happens with planetary energy. If they get too close to the Sun, their energy gets washed out by the energy of the Sun. However, there is a sweet spot next to the Sun that when a planet is there, its energy becomes energized in a very positive sort of way. And when that happens, it's known as a Cazimi. So you have Venus Cazimi, Mercury Cazimi, Jupiter Cazimi, right? You've got every planet can be a Cazimi essentially. And so when Mercury is Cazimi, it brings things like good news. It brings things like brilliant new ideas. It allows you to learn things that you really want to learn. You get re-energized when it comes to transactions, expressing yourself. Everything that Mercury stands for, when it is Cazimi, it is heightened, it's positive, and it's energized, all right? So it allows you to think good thoughts. It allows you to express yourself effectively. It allows you to learn, transact business in a very positive sort of way. So what I just talked about before with all of those Chiron transits and the ability to change your mind and change the narrative that you say to yourself, change your beliefs even, Sun conjunct Mercury is going to be like the cherry on top to that. So despite how arduous it may feel, Despite how intense this week may be, despite how maybe you feel overcome by either your insecurities or maybe you've got a relationship where the power dynamics are really sort of getting to you this week, do the work to change your narrative, to draft a new story. Sun conjunct Mercury is going to energize that. So you don't want to miss out on these opportunities this week, all right? So it gives a little bit of levity to the week. It allows you to maybe hear something new, learn something exciting, or have a really good idea that you can run with in the future. And then on top of that, we've got the moon moving into Libra. And whenever we have the moon in Libra, it's time to socialize, right? I love having moon in Libra over the weekend because it's great for going out, socializing, hanging out with people. You know, I don't know about you, but I know quite a few Libras. I have a Libra stellium in my natal chart, and I seem to attract Libras all the time. Pretty much every Libra I know belongs to the streets. They're always out. They know 1,000,001 people. They're always socializing. I'm sure you know a Libra that's just like that. So when the moon is in Libra, socialize, get out there, have fun. All right. So again, Friday is very fortuitous day, brings a little bit of lighter energy into an otherwise heavy and intense week. So enjoy yourself. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right, and then finally, we close out the week on Sunday with Venus square Neptune. So at the top of the chart, you will see Venus at 29 degrees of Gemini, and at the right-hand portion of the chart, you will see Neptune in Pisces at 29 degrees of Pisces. All right, so this is a transit that doesn't feel so good. So the first thing I want to say is, if you notice what I said before, both Venus and Neptune are at 29 degrees. Venus is at 29 degrees of Gemini. Neptune is at 29 degrees of Pisces. Anytime you have planets at the 29th degree, it's known as the anaretic degree. It's one of the critical degrees in astrology. This means that it is intense. Whatever Venus is doing, it's going to do it 10 times. Whatever Neptune is doing, it's going to do it 10 times. And when you have a transit like this, like I said before in the intro, it's like looking in a funhouse mirror. You cannot see things clearly. As a matter of fact, you see things in relation to your insecurities, particularly the way that you look. This is one of those transits that makes you feel kind of shitty about yourself. All of the imperfections that you may have with your body or your appearance become hyper highlighted to you. Now, with Venus being in Gemini, what you think about yourself is actually kind of distorted. So maybe you think the worst of yourself. Maybe you think you're not good at something. Maybe you have insecurities about your level of intelligence or whatever. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough money. Your social standing sucks. That is going to become it's almost like you're going to be hyper fixated on it. And again, it's like you're seeing things from a funhouse mirror. You're not seeing things for how they are. You're seeing things from the lens and the filter of your own insecurities. So that being said, it's one of those days where you kind of just want to chill out. Like, doing anything creative may be an exercise in futility because things may not turn out right for you. The painting or whatever work you're working on, you're going to think that it's horrible. It's not good enough, right? It's not a day to make important decisions because, again, you're looking at everything from the lens of your insecurities. So it's one of those situations where you kind of just have to let the energy pass. Understand that what you're thinking about yourself, even what you may be seeing in the mirror, is not an accurate representation of who you truly are. It's just your insecurities perhaps getting the better of you. Now, depending on where Gemini and Pisces are in your chart, this will let you know where this is playing out. So let's say Gemini is your first house, you're a Gemini rising. This may have to do with your physical appearance. Let's say either of those signs are your third house. It may have to do with your level of intelligence. Maybe you don't think you're smart enough, okay? When it comes to your seventh house, it could be your relationships, and maybe you feel like your partner doesn't love you or they don't find you attractive anymore. I think you understand what I'm trying to get at with this particular transit. Not going to feel good, right? However, even when we're feeling our worst, it's really just information on what we still need to work on, right? If you feel like your appearance is not the best, what can you do to fix that? Or where does that stem from? Is it just because you truly feel like you don't look your best? Or are other people telling you that because of their own insecurities, right? You kind of have to decipher whose voice you're hearing in your head and act accordingly. Okay, so not the best way to end the week. Again, I feel like you kind of just got to let the energy ride. But again, anytime our insecurities, our emotions, our hangups come up, it serves as valuable information for us to make a change. All right. All right. So that is the astro forecast for the week. So now let's get into some messages from Spirit. All right, so you know the deal. I will be pulling cards for messages from Spirit. I pull by sign. However, whether it's your sun, moon, rising, Jupiter, Venus, North Node, doesn't matter. If it is your message, it is yours. If it's not, then it's not. All right. So let's begin, as always, with Aries. Let's see what we've got for Aries for this week. All right, Aries, we've got bullseye, which is focus. All right, so this is pretty self-explanatory. When it comes to stability, so when it comes to your job, when it comes to your money, when it comes even to committed relationships, I'm hearing, have laser-like focus. Now, you guys are pretty good at having laser-like focus. Like, you guys will have a desire, you guys will have something in mind, and you're like fixated almost to the point of obsession. But focus and clarity are going to be super important for you this week when it comes to stability. So keep that in mind. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this week. Taurus, we've got the moon, which is emotions. All right. So this is going to be an emotional week for you. And I feel like your emotions are probably going to be all over the place. Probably as a result of your mind being all over the place, especially if you're like a Taurus rising. You've got Jupiter in your, well, no. You've got Mars in your sign right now. So, you know, you may be feeling slow, sluggish physically, but then you've also got just a lot of emotions going on this week. All right. Honor how you feel. And emotions are cyclical, right? They ebb and flow like the ocean. You kind of just have to let them be. Feel what you're feeling and then allow the feeling to dissipate. Don't try not to get too caught up in how you're feeling at any given moment. But honor how you feel and allow your emotions to serve as information, perhaps from what you need to address right now. Perhaps I'm hearing like certain conversations that need to be had. I feel like how you feel about this person or how you feel about the situation is really going to come up this week, sort of urging you to have that conversation. Either way, an emotional week nonetheless. All right, next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. This card is so you, Gemini. Bees, community. So shit is just going to be busy for you. I also get the sense that for you, there's going to be a lot of networking, a lot of talking to people. You see this cup of coffee. It's like you going to the coffee shop and talking to people and communing with people. Perhaps like a local coffee shop. For some, it could be even a local coffee shop or just a local establishment that I see you going to this week where perhaps you're starting something new. You're starting a new project. You're working on something new. Either way, you are out in these streets, and I get the sense that that's exactly how you like it, especially now with all of this planetary energy in your sign. All right. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer for this week. Cancer, we've got fences, also known as boundaries, okay? So this is a week where I get the sense that you are also going to be feeling quite emotional this week. You guys are an emotional sign, so that doesn't surprise me. However, it's like you don't need other people triggering you or setting you off or making you more emotional than you need to be. So you need to set boundaries. Now, keep in mind, this isn't a brick wall. So it's not that it's impenetrable. You're not creating boundaries where you're completely cutting people off, but you're letting people know that, hey, I'm not dealing with your bullshit, or hey, I don't have the capacity to help you with this or to take this on. Like, I've got my own stuff that I'm working on. So this is a week where you are setting firm boundaries, and don't be afraid. Don't be hesitant. Whoever minds doesn't matter, and whoever matters doesn't mind. So keep that in mind. All right. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we have for Leo for this week. All right, Leo. We have Flamingo, which is the card of fun. And you see this is the number 2. So there's some fun that can be had, particularly over the weekend, right? When the moon is in Libra. This may be a great time for you to hang out with a partner, hang out with a friend, sort of get your mind off of everything that's been going on throughout the week. So over the weekend, kick back, have some fun, try to get your mind off things, get in that lighthearted Leo spirit, that sort of childlike, fun, open-hearted energy. And doing that will get you to feel more like yourself. And when you're more like yourself, you'll be able to move through some of this heavier energy a lot easier. All right? So keep that in mind. All right. So next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo for this week. Virgo, we've got tree ancestry. Family is definitely a thing this week. As you can see, this is a t-shirt that says family reunion, right? What does this say? Honoring our roots. So this could be a week where you get together with family. This could be a week where you learn something about family that sort of puts things in perspective for you. Healing generational curses is also going to be a thing this week, as if you haven't been doing enough of that already, right? So yeah, just keep on doing what you were doing. Now you'll see this card as a 42, which reduces to a 6. 6 has everything to do with relationships, but more so with harmony. Establishing harmony within the family or establishing harmony within yourself despite your family is going to be a thing this week. So breathe, hunker down, do what you have to do, and understand that this too shall pass. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra for this week. All right, Libra, we've got crown, personal power. So you know how I talked about Mars square Pluto and how that has to do with power dynamics and control? I feel like this is a week where those issues are going to be prominent for you. And your task is to find your personal power, to do what you need to do to be empowered. Now, some of you are going to feel like you need to take underhanded tactics to do so. And I'm not here to tell you to do it or not to do it, but I will say that if you do it, someone will do it back to you. So just keep that in mind. However, this is a week of personal empowerment and figuring out and making sense of the power dynamics, perhaps in a particular relationship, or given that this card is a 28 and that reduces to a 10, which is a 1, there could be a new power dynamic that is emerging in a particular situation this week. All right. So be patient, work on yourself. And again, it's all about personal empowerment. Next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for this week. Scorpio, we've got angel numbers, which is confirmation. Scorpio, I don't even need to say much to you. Like, first of all, they're not letting me know what the situation is. Only you know the situation. And take this card as confirmation. Whatever you were thinking, whatever you were feeling, whatever your intuition is telling you about this particular situation is correct. And either this reading is the confirmation, or you will literally see angel numbers or some sort of numerical confirmation that validates what you're thinking or feeling. Point blank, period. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we've got for Sagittarius for this week. Sagittarius, we have the card entitled Succulents, which is all about resilience. You have to stay the course, Sag. Some of you are burnt out. Some of you are burnt out mentally. Others are burnt out like physically. There's a situation that you've been working long and hard at, and you have not seen the type of results that you had hoped for. However, as you can tell by these succulents, things will eventually bloom. They just may not be blooming on your timetable, okay? So you have to stay resilient. You have to stay the course. You have to persevere, okay? This could be in a relationship. I'm getting for some, it's like you want to take the relationship to the next level. Like, let's say you're waiting to get engaged and it just hasn't happened and you feel like time is dragging on, right? Things will eventually come to pass. You just have to be a little more resilient, all right? Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for this week. Capricorn, we have the card entitled Mountains, which is obstacles. This is something that you're very familiar with, all right? Things are changing and new obstacles are emerging. New level, new devil, okay? Just when you thought you were done, you're not quite done yet. That's because you've leveled up. You're in a new level in this video game called life, and there are new challenges, new obstacles, new quests for you to embark upon. But this is nothing you can't handle. This is your natural terrain, right? You guys are the goat, and the goat climbs mountains. So you are naturally in your element. It's almost like it's time for you to shine. It's time for you to show what you're truly made of. Whereas other people would cower in the face of this mountain, you're like, bring it on. I'm ready. I was born for this, right? So that's sort of where you're at this week. Now, for some, this may feel tiring. Yes, you can handle it, but you're like, why do I have to keep handling it? Why do I have to keep encountering these kind of obstacles? Character building. Again, this is the video game of life, and you guys have leveled up. Once you conquer this mountain, you will have leveled up again, all right? But again, it's your natural terrain. So I guess all in all, you're kind of feeling more like yourself this week, okay? Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for this week. Aquarius. All right, we've got Lotus Flower, which is enlightenment. All right. You guys have Pluto currently in your sign. So enlightenment is very much what you are undergoing. Okay. You're getting to see things from a different perspective, and you're at the tail end of a particular cycle. So you're almost at the point of starting a new cycle, but not quite yet. There are certain things that you need to be enlightened about, okay? Now you see how these are letters, right? With these stamps. There's some sort of news coming in this week that will enlighten you, that will illuminate you to something, that will help close out this cycle that you are currently in. So keep your eyes and your ears open, particularly around Friday, with the Sun conjunct Mercury. So good news could be coming your way this week that will most definitely enlighten you. And then last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got for Pisces for this week. Pisces, we've got Feather, which is messages. All right. So this is a week where you will be quite literally maybe seeing feathers. And you know how when you see feathers like on your path, it kind of lets you know that you're on the right path. Messages, synchronicities are going to be on the menu this week. And it's going to be really important that you stay open and receptive, because some of these synchronicities may be weird or odd, or it just may like sort of throw you for a loop. For others, you already know that you're on the right path. Your intuition is telling you that. And then these sort of feathers and these messages are just going to be confirmation that you're doing the right thing. Either way, you should also keep your ears and eyes open for these synchronicities to let you know that you are on the right path. All right, my love. So that concludes this edition of the Weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. For information on all of my products and services, you can find that in the description box below and or tag to this video. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have an amazing week, and I will see you in my next broadcast. All right, my loves. Take care.